Hello and welcome back to Twinstrology. I'm Marla Kelly, here to talk about the Pisces new moon and the astro energy that's happening right now. So the message that I heard today when I was preparing to do this video is that we are rescinding fear. Now, rescind is not a word that I would normally use, but that's the message that I got. And it means to remove or to take away. And we are very much in that energy of needing to release fear. Now, if we go back to January 10th, that was the day that Uranus went direct. It was also an eclipse. And that put all of the planets in direct motion. So for 6 weeks, all the planets were moving forward. And that means that we were all moving forward. We were all getting ready for our next phase. Now, you may not be seeing a lot of forward movement in your 3D reality, but what you're doing is you're preparing your inner world. You're making the inner changes that are necessary for you to manifest these things in your external world. So for 6 weeks, we've been preparing for that. Now we have Mercury retrograde. Mercury went retrograde on the 16th, and he's retrograde until March 9th. So we have this little bit of a break where we're stopping and we're going within, and Mercury is helping us find those fears. A lot of the fears that we have are mental fears. Okay, when Mercury is retrograde, we go inside and we look at our thoughts, and where we're limiting ourselves with our mind. So we're focused on that. And then from March 9th to April 25th, when Pluto goes retrograde, we have another 6 weeks of planets in direct motion, all the planets. So you see this little pit stop that we're taking with Mercury is really, really important, because it's giving us that chance to see where exactly it is that we're limiting ourselves. It's like we're saying, we really want this, and the universe is saying, we really want to deliver that to you, but what you're not seeing is that you still have fears and limitations that are preventing us from actually bringing these things to you. So let's work together to resolve these fears so we can move ahead. Now, Mercury is retrograde in Pisces, and this is where the new moon is happening. And they're going to be together at this new moon. Mercury is going all the way back to Aquarius in its retrograde to the 28th degrees of Aquarius. But right now, he's at 9 degrees, and yes, he'll be conjunct this new moon. Pisces is really playing into this energy because what you're being asked to do right now is to take a higher perspective. Pisces is all about love, unity, spirituality, being of service, and with that energy moving into our heart. The Sabian symbol that Mercury is on is an aviator in the clouds. So that itself is telling us that we need to take a higher perspective. It's like, I don't want to say we're separating from 3D, because of course we have to live our 3D lives. But what we're being asked to do is to elevate our consciousness so that we're not so heavily attached to all the negativity and the old negative thought patterns that are very 3D. So yeah, aviator in the clouds. We've got to reach higher. We've got to change our perspective. Now, there's a lot of Sabian symbols that have this spiritual connection that are really asking us right now to see beyond the veil And that's really what I mean by taking a higher perspective. See the bigger picture. If we look at the sabience for the North and South Node, the North Node is two fairies dancing on a moonlit night, and the South Node is a veiled prophet speaks, sees by the power of a god. So both of them having to do with that energy of connecting beyond the veil. So one of the things that we're being asked to do right now is to have faith. And that's, again, the energy of Pisces. Because a lot of the fear that we're having is still stemming from a lack of faith, a lack of trust. And when we tune in to the energy of Pisces and to this deeper spiritual energy of seeing beyond the veil, then we trust. We know that we're being supported by the universe. Even in those times where the 3D world suggests that things are out of control or the 3D world is presenting something scary, when we move into that trust and we move into our heart, then we let go of the fear because we realize that whatever is happening is just the energy making a new way. And that's really what's going on right now, is our energy is trying to find new pathways. And so we need to just let go of resistance and just allow the energy to go where it needs to go. And we just follow along with the energy. So this new moon in Pisces is really asking us to trust and to have faith, not get lost in this, whatever is happening in 3D. Another thing that's going on is we have Venus in Aries squaring Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn, all the planets in Capricorn. So this is another piece of that. It's another piece of being able to manifest. And what I'm seeing is law of attraction. It's like this energy is working to shift our vibration to help us attract the things that we want. If we look at Venus, you want love, you want financial abundance, you want that sense of beauty, that sense of peace. But that energy is being squared by these big planets in Capricorn. Those planets in Capricorn represent the old timelines. I should say the collapse of the old timelines. Now, I'm sure all of you know that these 3 major planets in Capricorn are there breaking down the old structures of our lives, breaking down those old timelines. But how are they going to change? It's not like the government or big corporations are going to just say, oh, hey, we've been making some mistakes. Let's just change. No, we have to bring the change. We are the change. We have to change our lives and our thoughts and our beliefs first. So that Venus squaring those planets is like saying, okay, this is what you want, but this is where your old energy is. And that old energy in Capricorn is like saying, I'm afraid to be myself. I've been judged a lot. I don't want to be judged anymore. I'm afraid to speak out because, again, people might judge me. I'm very concerned about how I appear in public. all of these old issues. Or, there's a part of you that is afraid to step out of your comfort zone, that just wants to stay in the status quo of things. Or, we know that the structures of society need to break down, and that this energy wants to help those structures break down. But are you still afraid of allowing those structures to break down? Okay, so those are some things that we're going to be looking at. Because the collapse of the old timelines and the change, as I said, it starts within us. And the asteroid karma is also squaring those planets in Capricorn. So it's letting that go, letting the old go. In order to let the old go, you need to trust. You need to trust that everything is okay. A few days ago, I posted a video on Donald Trump. That's not the normal thing that I do. Well, at least it hasn't been up till now. That will be changing. But the reason that I posted that is just to help people understand that there's nothing to be afraid of. It's not for or against Donald Trump. It's neither way. I tried to be very unbiased with it. And just to show that the things that are happening are being guided by a higher power. They're all being guided by the light. We have nothing to fear. When we realize that the light's already won and we're just going through the motions of releasing the old, then we don't need to hold on in fear to that old energy. So the Sabian symbol for Venus is a magic carpet hovers over the depressing reality of everyday life in an industrial area. So again, the Sabian very much talking about needing to take a higher perspective. The depressing reality of everyday life. Rise above it on a magic carpet. Again, sure, we need to live in a 3D reality, but we need to elevate our consciousness so that we're not bogged down in that old energy. We need to shift our thinking into the thinking of magic. That magic can happen, that magic is within us. And to believe that anything can happen. Now, another thing that's going on that's really important is Chiron and Black Moon Lilith are in an exact conjunction, and they're going to be traveling together for a little bit. And they're actually making it in conjunction to the asteroid Union, which is now in retrograde. And the Sabian symbol for Chiron and Lilith is two lovers are strolling through a secluded walk. But what that Sabian is really saying, because we're dealing with, Chiron and Lilith, so we're dealing with our wounds and our insecurities and our feelings of abandonment and not being loved and accepted. That Sabian is saying that the energy that it's bringing up within us has to do with feelings of abandonment and rejection. And, that's definitely part of what I was just talking about, letting the old structures go. Those planets in Capricorn, that Capricorn energy represents all the things that society, our parents have placed on us, that we have to be this way. If you want to be successful, if you want to be accepted by people, you have to act like this. And that makes it really hard for us to come out and be ourselves because we've developed such fear. So Lilith and Chiron are triggering the idea, the feelings of separation. That's not a pleasant feeling. Not a pleasant feeling at all. But to counter that with the energy of Pisces, which is there is no separation. There is oneness. So that's going to trigger your mental programming that you have these two things going on, separation and unity. Again, we have to let go of the separation and know that we have unity. That's part of trusting and making sure that we are supported. There's a lot of planets making aspect to each other right now because we have several planets in the early degrees. The new moon is at 4 degrees of Pisces. The Chiron Lilith is at 3 degrees of Aries. Uranus is at 3 degrees of Taurus. Mars is at 4 degrees of Capricorn. And the nodes are at 6 degrees of Capricorn and Cancer, and as well as union being at 2 Scorpio. So the energy of these planets is all working together. They're making good aspects to each other. Of course, Mars is going to be squaring Chiron and Lilith. And Chiron and Lilith are coming into an exact square with the nodal axis. And I've talked about this a lot, how we're under a lot of pressure to let go of the ideas and fears that are around separation and not being true to ourselves. Mars on the South Node is also activating the release of fears. Because remember, Mars wants to move forward, and the South Node is showing us where our old patterns are preventing that forward motion. So yeah, take this time, this Mercury retrograde, to work through any fears that you're having. Remember that fear is the opposite of love, and fear is an illusion. As I said, have faith. No matter what things appear like, the light has won. Everything's fine. Everything that's unfolding, just as it should. And if it appears to be otherwise, that's only the collapse of the old timelines. Just don't have resistance to that. Flow with it. If you need help with any of that, if you would like to have a reading with me, you can visit my website, which is marlakelly.com. Sending you all a lot of love at this new moon, and I'll speak to you again soon.